tell you, I have filmed this video 3 times. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I'm Mai, a Colombian girl living in Melbourne, and for today's video it's all about Medicare. Weeks ago I talked to you about my process of permanent residency, how I got it, and one of the things that came with it was access to Medicare. And these are 6 things that you need to know about this Medicare thing. The first thing is, what is Medicare? You know you have heard it, but you are not sure what it is. Medicare is the health system in Australia. It provides access to health treatments and health services at little cost or no cost. Then my second question is, who has access to Medicare? Does everyone in Australia has access to Medicare? Well, no. If you are one of the following people, then yes, you have access to Medicare. Option 1. If you are an Australian citizen living in Australia, of course. Option 2. If you were born in New Zealand but now you live in Australia, you also have access to Medicare. Option 3. If you are a permanent resident, that's me. Option 4. If you have applied to permanent residency but you haven't got it yet, there are certain cases where you have actually access to Medicare. Option 5. If you are covered by ministerial orders. Option 6. If you are a resident return visa holder. And finally, the last option is Australia has an agreement with 11 countries in which their citizens can come here, and while they are here they have access to Medicare, and same applies for Australians that go to those countries. Some of these countries are UK, Ireland, Sweden, Italy, Finland, and much more. If you want to find more details, I will leave the link down in the description box. What is covered under Medicare? Well, out of hospital services, so for example, you are feeling sick, you visit your doctor, that cost of the appointment could be covered by Medicare. Not necessarily the full amount, but a part of it will be covered. Also, in some cases, if you have to do some pathology test or some imaging test, then that could be covered. In other cases, there are some medicines that are also covered under Medicare, but the norm is like, no, you have to pay for your medicine. If you have to visit a public hospital, all the services within that public hospital will be covered by the government. So my fourth question is, what is not covered under Medicare? The big one is the dental procedures are not covered, so if you have to visit the dentist and they have to remove a wisdom tooth, then you will have to pay the full amount out of your pocket. Chiropractic, psychologists, any of those alternative medicines are not covered under Medicare. Private hospitals are not covered under Medicare, and ambulance services are also not covered under Medicare. So if it's not covered, how can I be covered? Which is my 5th question. As I just said, there are plenty of things that are not covered under Medicare. Those things could be really expensive. The removal of one wisdom tooth could cost up to $2,000. The majority of Australians pay for private health insurance. I pay for Bupa, and I have hospital cover, and I have extras. That allows me to get glasses to be covered up to some amount for my dental procedures, and most importantly, if you suffer from anxiety or depression, like it's my case, you can also visit a psychiatrist or a psychologist, and some of that cost will be covered by the private health insurance. If you need a procedure, you get to pick your own hospitals, your doctor, when it's gonna happen. If you just have Medicare, then you just depend on the system to assign you a doctor, assign you a hospital, and assign you a time. You don't get to pick. And also with a private insurance, you can visit private hospitals, and that will be covered. Again, not necessarily the full amount will be covered. Normally, you always have to pay an excess, meaning that if the procedure costs $1,000 and Bupa pays $300, you still need to pay $700. And that leads me to my last question, and is, what is bulk billing. When I got here 5 years ago, I started seeing like bulk billing doctor, and I was like, what is bulk billing? That sounds so weird. Basically what it is that if you go to that doctor and you have a standard consultation, which is around 10 minutes, then you don't have to pay anything. I mean, if you have Medicaid, of course, because the doctor charges the government directly. The cost of the appointment on those places is the same cost that the government is willing to pay for that type of appointment. In most of the cases, that's not what happens. In my case, I normally go to a doctor near my house and the consultation cost is $90. The government covers 30 something, I think it's $39, and I have to pay for the rest. And that's what normally happens. You have to pay for excess. But in the bulk billing doctors, you don't have to pay anything because what the government says they are willing to pay, that's what the doctor is charging, so you don't have to pay anything. And that's it. That is Medicare in a nutshell. Of course, there are some more details. I'm gonna leave all the links down in the description box if you want to find out more about this Medicare system. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'm a Colombian girl living in Melbourne. If you are not subscribed to this channel, subscribe. I upload videos every Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you took the time, and see you soon. Bye. Okay, you better be good video because this is the third time I made it. Fingers crossed I don't have to do it again, because although it comes more naturally, you know, like I already know my script by heart. I didn't have to look at my iPad, not even once. That's good. Okay.